Welcome back to another episode of Dueker Sports. I'm your host, Christian Lunday. Dylan is off today. He'll be back next week. Uh, pushing with his last final effort to get done with school so he can get himself a degree. So we're hoping he finishes strong. Today's going to be a little bit of a shorter episode. I've got some headlines we're going to go through, and then I've got some audience questions that we've received. I'll probably answer those, and then we'll call it a night. So far, first things first, Marvin Jones. He signs a 1 year, $3 million deal with the Lions. He's had most of his career success with the Lions. Um, I think this is going to be a base salary of $3 million, with incentives totaling $5 million total for the entire contract. I think it's a good deal. Get some depth at the wide receiver position while they're trying to ease Jameson Williams back into a wide R1 role alongside Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think Marvin Jones can still do some things in his career, so I think this is an excellent decision. It looks like, from what I can tell, the last two seasons he's had like 119 catches, roughly 1,300 yards. That's pretty good if that was one season. But that's over the past 2 years. He has 7 touchdowns along with those. So we want to see more production out of Marvin Jones. He's at the tail end of his career, though. I think in the last 2 seasons, he's only missed 7 games, which is pretty good, especially considering someone of his age. But he's going to be just a depth piece for the Lions, but they're still a scary offense, and he can still do some things. He's a big-bodied receiver. I don't think he has quite the same explosiveness that he did in his physical prime, but I still think he can do quite a bit of things for the Lions offense. Can probably still stretch the field and run the intermediate routes because he's just a big-bodied receiver. Um, Moving on, Jets say Packers' demands are unreasonable and irrational, according to Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk. Um, this has just been an ongoing saga for the Jets. The Packers have been after the Jets' 13th overall pick. With that 13th overall pick, you're looking at the Jets eating $60 million from Aaron Rodgers' contract and taking on an aging quarterback who's aloof. You never know what you're going to get with Aaron Rodgers, except that you know that he's really talented and he can help your football team win a lot of games if he's mentally there. Sometimes you're taking that risk. If you're the Jets, you're taking the risk that he's going to be at OTAs, he's going to be at training camp, he's going to be at mini camps, he's going to be present. He's going to try and develop a rapport with the young wide receivers and the young weapons that the Jets have. And if you're the Jets, you also don't want to lose out on any of the human capital that you have on your team. I think the Packers have probably tried and called about a few of the Jets players, and if you're the Jets, you're like, I'm eating $60 million. I'm getting an aging quarterback who's sort of aloof for maybe 2 years, trial run, give or take. You never know. So you have to wonder, like, how much risk are the Jets willing to take and how much are they willing to give up? I don't see them willing to give up, actual star players or elite players, or even some really good role players on their team. So this is going to be an interesting battle back and forth. The Jets say they're out on Lamar Jackson. They're all in on Aaron Rodgers. They've tried to do everything that he's asked for. General Manager Aaron Rodgers of the Jets. They've tried to do everything that he's asked for. Um, with the caveat, you don't know where Odell Beckham Jr. is going to go. I know Aaron Rodgers wants Odell Beckham at the Jets facility before he gets there. Not sure how realistic that is. Odell Beckham wants to be paid, and if you're the Jets, you're like, I don't know if I can shell out $60 million to Aaron Rodgers while paying, $10 to $12 million a year, maybe more. Last I saw, Odell came down from his demands, but I think originally he was asking for $17 to $20 million a year. It's like, no. So I think that's just a lot of risk for the Jets to take on, considering this is a 1 to 2 year deal. Like, if the Jets don't win a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers and these weapons in the next 2 years, maybe an abject failure. But we see that the Jets say the Packers' demands were unreasonable and irrational. If you're the Packers, you have to do this. You have to ask for the kitchen sink. In my opinion, the Packers have all the leverage. They can just simply decide not to trade Aaron Rodgers. They'll maybe call his bluff, perhaps. Maybe he really will go into retirement, but you never know. So to me, if you call Aaron Rodgers' bluff, or you just decide you're not going to trade him at all, he might retire. And if he retires, what are the Jets going to do? You've mortgaged your future, or tried to at least, while you're trying to figure out a way to get this ball rolling without actually giving up a whole lot of assets, so you can try to win a Super Bowl in the next 2 years. Here, if you're the Packers, that's why you have all the leverage, because you still have the asset the Jets want. And you'll probably take, you're gonna try and win some games, but my guess is you're not going to win a whole lot of games. You're going to see what Jordan Love has left to play. Coming in, finally starting, getting control of the entire offense. Been in the system for a few years now. You're going to see what you have in him. You're not going to see what you have in Aaron Rodgers. That ship has sailed. So if you have to eat the $60 million, you're not gonna be a high value target anyway for free agents, because you're Green Bay. And you typically don't spend money because you're Green Bay. You don't spend money in free agency. You don't make a whole lot of trades. Your strength is basically in the draft. The draft is full of cheap players that you can get on the back end, rookie deals, highly incentivized. That's your play if you're the Packers. So you have all the leverage here if you're the Packers, and you can demand and ask for whatever you want to see if the Jets bite. The Jets haven't bitten, so maybe you come down on your demands. So I think these two. I don't think that the Jets have. I don't think the Packers have acted unreasonable or irrational. I think they're acting completely rational, and they're going to see how high of a price the Jets are willing to pay. And if that's not to the Packers' liking, they can simply just not trade Aaron Rodgers. They have all the leverage here. Finally, Titans GM Rand Carthen denies erroneous Derrick Henry trade. To me, the Packers or the Titans should be looking to trade Derrick Henry. They should be looking to trade almost all of their veterans. I think the Titans have thoroughly screwed up a very good window for winning a title, or at least getting to a Super Bowl. And to me, they've wasted the primes of all of their prized possessions. They traded away A.J. Brown. I think that was a huge mistake. I think A.J. Brown proved that whenever the Eagles played the Titans, he demolished the Titans. He made them wish that they never traded him. But Derrick Henry's been very serviceable. He's actually, surprisingly to me, been extremely durable. And in 16 games last season, he had almost 1,400 yards rushing, or he had over 1,500 yards rushing, and he had 13 touchdowns. So he's still a very, very productive back. He's huge. It's going to take a lot to wear him down. I think he's still got some, two elite years left before he starts approaching that 30-year mark, and his body starts taking a toll. To me, the Titans could get, a pretty. I think the running back market has been depressed, but I think the Titans can get a pretty nice haul if they try to trade him. But apparently, Rand Carthen says this wasn't true. Titans aren't trading, or aren't looking to trade Derrick Henry, a former 2,000-yard rusher. So I don't know what's going on here. To me, this is mixed signals from the Titans. My guess is that they shopped Derrick Henry. The running back market probably has depressed. They didn't get what they wanted. And so maybe they just put out another statement. This is erroneous. The intern excuse. This is erroneous. We're going to keep Derrick Henry. To me, that's a sign they aren't getting what they actually want in a trade. So there needs to be, a psychology book or an economics book, actually economics, to talk about the absolute depression of the running back market, considering how many. I think Rich Eisen went on this tirade a few days ago, or maybe a few weeks ago, the amount of touchdowns running backs account for. In his case, Austin Eckler was insane, and yet Austin Eckler's having a hard time finding a job. The Chargers was like, go ahead, seek a trade. He's going around talking to other teams. Can't find a team to trade for him. So the running back market is just really bad. To me, I would figure for Derrick Henry, a former 2,000-yard rusher coming off a 1,500-yard season, only missing one game of the 17-game season, and scoring 13 touchdowns. to me, I would think you could get a nice haul for him. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe that's because of the depression of the running back market. All right, so I've got some, I think, 4 questions here from our viewers. This first one is from Daniel. So he says, essentially, taking the top Super Bowl contenders out of the equation, are the remaining teams better off discount shopping at quarterback on short term deals and investing their savings in top tier skill and support player instead? Like, for example, he says the New York Jets are about to consume $60 million on Aaron Rodgers this season. Would they have been better off with Jimmy Garoppolo for a few seasons and $30 million in cash to spend on supporting talent with no long term commitment? To me, this depends. It depends because, in my opinion, it depends on the quarterback that you have. Prime Aaron Rodgers for $60 million with mid-tier talent, I think Aaron Rodgers go to the Super Bowl. $60 million with Aaron Rodgers at 38 years old, you're going to have a problem there. To me, right now, I would think that it's smarter for the Jets not to pay, not to give up assets, not to shell out $60 million, mortgage their future, and put themselves in cap space hell for a 2-year run at a championship window that you think you have, even though you've got huge competition in the Bengals, the Bills, and the Chiefs. And that's just the AFC. Yeah, that's not even talking the NFC. I don't think the Jets are good enough to overcome those 3 teams right now. I know the Jets are getting Breece Hall back from injury. Garrett Wilson's only going to get better. They're going to have a lot of weapons on the outside. Their defense was like the 4th best defense in football, I think. 4th best scoring defense. I need to double check that. But to me, I think you're right. I think you're better off if you are the Jets and you take a mid-tier quarterback and surround him with elite talent. He uses Jimmy Garoppolo as an example. I would take Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy G's a proven winner, in my opinion. Jimmy G has taken a team to a Super Bowl. I know that the talent in the 49ers team has been electrifying for several years now, and part of the reason why Jimmy G made it to the Super Bowl is because of the talent around him. But you take Jared Goff here, for instance. He put an entire Excel sheet on here. Jared Goff, like you said, making $25.9 million with the Lions, and they went 9-8, whereas every other quarterback or seemingly uber talented quarterback that's making almost $40 million a year, none of them have a 9-8 record. The closest one is Daniel Jones, who signed a big deal this offseason. His team went 9-7. Daniel did play decently well in the playoffs, but I wouldn't. $46 million? Well, no. And so if you can get Jared Goff, who I think had a phenomenal year, easily in production, probably a top 10, top 5 year. This was Jared Goff's, I think, his best season of his career. And I know he went to the Super Bowl against the Patriots, but I don't think that I don't think that was his best year. This was his best year. He looked phenomenal. And if you get that kind of production at $25.9 million a year on that Jets team, now you're cooking with gas. Now you are making some noise, making a deep playoff run, in my opinion, while not mortgaging your future. So I think this is exactly right. I think it's better with the mid-tier quarterback. A mid-tier probably overperforming, although I think Jared Goff is perfectly capable of another season like he had last season. The next question is the stalemate between Lamar Jackson and the Ravens over guaranteed money has pushed to the forefront what the next great debate will be between owners and players. The only way the players win is if the stars of the league collude to stop signing non-guaranteed deals, the same way the owners have colluded not to offer them. Can the players hold the line, or at the end of the day, will they have to accept defeat on this issue? All right, far be it from me to purport myself to be an expert in collective bargaining agreement. But in my opinion, the players will never, ever get non-guaranteed money. And if they all collude not to play, the NFL loses money. If the NFL loses money, they have a right, most likely, to refuse to pay their athletes. I'm sure there's a clause in their contracts that they have to perform. They have to do so many things, put a product out there for the NFL fans to consume. And if that product's not out there, players don't get paid. So to me, a collusion to not sign non-guaranteed contracts, I think, is a dumb idea. Um, I think this is going to be basically incrementalism. Players in each collective bargaining meeting, whenever the CBA is up, should fight for little advances in contract negotiation process for more guaranteed money. If you do that every time, it's going to take a matter of decades, maybe, because collective bargaining agreements can last a long time. Um, to me, I would do the incrementalism approach. The players, the generations after you, are going to have to come on and continue to push this way. But I think the NFL owners know that one reason why their product is superior to the NBA, to the MLB, to the NHL, to the MLS. I think they know why their product is superior. One of the reasons is because the parity in the NFL is unquestionably better than every other league, in my opinion, in America. And also, I think their incentivized deals keep players motivated and hungry. Basketball, you've got fully guaranteed contracts, and those players perform, but they also have a lot of power. And I think the owners of the NFL have seen that and don't want the same thing happening to the NFL. So, in my opinion, essentially, I think that the non-guaranteed contract collusion by players should not happen. I think that's a very dumb idea. It's a smart idea if you don't want to get paid. I don't think they want that. So I think they should take the incrementalist approach. Each time it's time to come to the table and bargain with the owners, you keep pushing slowly but surely to more guaranteed contracts. I say don't do fully guaranteed contracts, but at least find a percentage, whether it's 50%, 75%, that you can get to that an owner would agree upon for fully guaranteed contracts. The only exception I think I would make to this rule would be running backs. I think running backs should be able the best ones coming out of college. I think running backs should be able to seek fully guaranteed contracts on their rookie deals. The reason I think this is because their market is depressed so much recently that we've got seventh rounders coming in like Isaiah Pacheco, taking the starting jobs from first rounders, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, which arguably shouldn't have been a first round pick. I think the Chiefs whiffed there, but you're seeing a plug and play type of system. Now, I do think there are special running backs that, like, every once in a while, you get a LaDainian Tomlinson or an Adrian Peterson or Saquon Barkley come along, and you're like, all right, this man could have played out of high school. This guy should be able to seek a fully guaranteed contract. I don't think it'll ever happen, but to me, if I'm a running back coming out of college, I'm like, I'm really good, and I'm a projected first rounder or the best of my class, I should be able to seek a fully guaranteed contract because the odds of me getting another long-term money bag, absolute diamond hands contract is extremely rare. The shelf life of running backs is very limited. It's like 3 years on average, something like that, maybe a little bit less. So, you got to get the bag somehow. Running backs, I think, should be able to seek fully guaranteed contracts. But towards this question, no, I don't think players should collude to stop non-guaranteed contracts. The next question. The NFL salary cap is known to be the most effective in pro sports as it has the fewest exceptions. However, it still doesn't encourage players to play in less desirable cities, which could be that way because of location, taxation, team performance, or lack of endorsement opportunities. Should the NFL have a sliding salary cap that takes these factors into account and that update each year? So this person gives an example. 2023 teams who finished first or second in their division would have a salary cap 5% less than the median, and the bottom feeders would have 5% more at their disposal. Interesting idea. To me, alluding to what I said earlier, I don't think this is necessary because I think the parity in the NFL is uh, unmatched for every American professional sport. To me, the parity of the NFL is unlike any other sport we have in America because I think part of it's because the hard line cap rules, and I think another part of it is their NFL draft, how deep it is, the seeding of the draft. There's not a lottery system. I personally am not a big fan of the lottery system. I think if you're the worst team, you start first, and if you're the best team, you start last, unless there's some trade stuff going on there. I think the NFL does a fantastic job managing managing teams and making sure that there's talent. You're not going to be stuck in you know uh, destitution, franchise destitution, if you are a bad team in the NFL. I think the NFL gives you great opportunities to build your team well. And I think it encourages players to play in less desirable cities. I think there's already um, a huge push to play in less desirable cities. I think that depends more on the owner than it does the salary cap. For instance, the Cincinnati Bengals owner is universally recognized as a super cheap owner. Um, you've got owners like Michael Bidwell, who apparently his team charges athletes to eat food. So that depends more on the owner, not necessarily some faculty that's created by the NFL. But to me, I don't think a sliding salary cap sort of situation is a bad idea. I think it's very interesting. To me, I just don't think it's necessary. To me, I think the hard salary cap for every team is perfect. It's fair. If you this is what I think about the NFL. For its success, it's extremely meritorious. If you cannot build a world-beating franchise when everyone else has the same payment restrictions as you, that has more to do with you as an owner, as a general manager, than it does with another maybe some cap space sliding. To me, I think the way I'd put it is, as a Chiefs fan, I remember the Tyler Palco years. I remember the Brody Croyle years. I remember when Carl Peterson left the Chiefs, stepped down, and we got in Scott Pioli. We saw a totally different draft philosophy. Scott Pioli actually brought in a lot of really good talent at a lot of different positions, except for the quarterback position. And there he picked a favorite, Matt Castle. Matt Castle actually had, under Charlie Weiss, the best year of his career outside of 2008 when he went 11-5 with the Patriots. But Scott Pioli from that season signed Matt Castle to a large deal. I don't think that was a smart move. I love Matt Castle. He's a great human being. Um, and he had a great year under Charlie Weiss. As soon as Charlie Weiss left, boom, it was all downhill from there. To me, that's a flaw of the general manager building the team, and not a flaw of the cap room or the salary cap. So to me, I think this is an interesting idea. I just don't think it's necessary. Also, if the Chiefs weren't in destitution forever, Scott Pioli brought in some good talent. And then after Scott Pioli, we had John Dorsey. John Dorsey brought even more great talent. John Dorsey was really good at his job, except for like two areas, and those were deadly areas. Part of that, this could be to the credence of this argument, part of that was salary cap management. He would way overpay for players, but he would draft some really good players. And then after John Dorsey left, we got Veach. Veach is a wizard. But Veach handles the salary cap as if it's fake. If you remember, the Chiefs had I think it was before. I think it was in the 2020 season. We had like $173 in cap space. And if you remember, we got a lot of deals done because he was smart with Mahomes' big contract. We had a lot of mechanisms in Mahomes' contract that allowed us to kick the can down the road to clear off cap space by converting things into signing bonuses. You can get creative with contracts. And if you draft players with high character, they're willing to make some sacrifices here and there to help teams build. So to me, it's a more a reflection on your team management and the creativity of your front office than it is, basically a detriment of the salary cap. Why some teams are bad. Last question here. Looks like okay. Joe Burrow is going to be up for an extension shortly. Is he like Aaron Rodgers, who wants the max amount of money possible, or is he like Tom Brady, who will play at a discount to make sure he had the supporting cast he needed to win? To me, I imagine Joe Burrow being more like Tom Brady. I think Joe Burrow knows how much money he can get. I think he will recoup that money. I think he knows he'll recoup that money in endorsement deals and other areas of his life where he can make up that money. I think if he really wants to propel his career to rarefied air, I think he needs to take a discount so they can re-sign as much talent as possible. Everyone's looking at T. Higgins either not, as a trade piece, because it's possible that the Bengals can't afford T. Higgins, Jamar Chase's contract, and Joe Burrow's contract. And they just signed Orlando Brown Jr. So there's got to be some cuts somewhere. To me, I think Joe Burrow is going to be the one who is willing to make the cuts. I think he wants to win. I don't see him as a person who's unwilling to take a monetary sacrifice to not win. I think he's kind of a different person. I think he's I think he's extremely confident in his abilities. And to me, I'm like, yeah, I just don't see. I don't get the sense that he just wants uber amounts of money. I think he actually takes a deal similar to Patrick Mahomes, where it's going to be a longer deal than normal. In Patrick's case, it was a 10-year extension. I can see Joe Burrow taking something like that, where he gets a lot of money over a long period of time. And they're going to build similar mechanisms into the contract so they can move money around, try to get players and keep the Bengals viable. That's what I see. I don't see someone like Kyler or Aaron Rodgers or someone who just wants more and more money. Um, I feel like the Browns are really going to suffer from their Deshaun Watson contract, and they're going to look at teams like Joe Burrow, who, one, they got a quarterback that doesn't have off the field issues, and two, they got a quarterback who's willing to extend his career, his earnings in his career over a longer period of time, so the team can stay winning. Whereas the Cleveland Browns are about to enter some painful times trying to pay Deshaun Watson, and I think that's going to be really bad considering his production last season. Well, that's it for this episode of Dueker Sports. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Our handle is at Dueker Sports. Search it up. You can find it. Like and subscribe, share. That lets the algorithms know that you liked our content and that you want to share it with others. And they'll start recommending it as our channel grows, our show grows. We have a lot of things that we are brainstorming, trying to bring into the works here. Once Dylan is done with college, he's going to go back to his home in Missouri. He's actually going to be here briefly. It'd be interesting if we can get a live episode with him and I actually in the same place at the same time. That would be fun. And then he's going to go back home to Missouri, where we've got some ideas in place, got some capital to try to improve our quality here, both in terms of our production quality and our cinematography. But other than that, this is going to be this week's last episode. We're going to post tons of content throughout the week on Instagram and TikTok and other forms of social media. But as far as a long form episode, this is going to be it for the week. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon.